What is going on, y'all? Site Perspectives, GeoFux here, and just left a community outreach meeting with other organizations, community members, residents, activists, grassroots folks in the area that are doing amazing things. A lot of us come from very diverse backgrounds and are working on diverse projects, but the whole goal ultimately is to assist residents, community members in our communities. And I say this all the time: community outreach, civic engagement, volunteering, serving community, looking out for community, looking out for residents and community members. This work is dear to my heart, and that's just keeping it real. And I'm about to go there. A lot of us, we're from the city, we live in the city, born and raised, we still live here, we still have family and friends that are here, we still care about our cities, our neighborhoods, our friends and families, our residents, our community members. And for myself, I went to college and I chose the major that I went into because I wanted to help my community. It is what it is. And yes, I'm in, I have student loans. I have 46. I checked my servicer again. I have $46,160 currently in student loan debt. And I'm going to say it, this is one of the reasons why I believe we should have student loan forgiveness. Those of us that are literally doing public service community work, we shouldn't have to take 10 years of paying to get 120 payments to be forgiven. It should be forgiven off rip. We're already doing the work. We're already paying off, working to pay off our student loans off rip. Because number one, most of these types of jobs and careers do not pay well. So how are you really going to ever pay off your debt when you're constantly stuck in a low paying field? Okay, and let's be real, I knew that I wasn't going to be rich. I knew that I wasn't going to be a millionaire, but I shouldn't be sitting up living paycheck to paycheck either. Nobody should, in my opinion. And again, y'all will sit up here, and I'm gonna go there. And when I say this, I want to make sure that you understand. I'm not saying this to say that those fields don't deserve the wages and salaries that they're receiving, but I am saying this to draw attention to the massive pay discrepancies and how we do not respect a lot of fields and degree fields that are needed just as much as other fields. Okay, so what I mean by is, y'all will sit up here and pay somebody that's doing computers and technology, STEM, data, data analysts, and they're sitting behind a computer all day, and you'll sit up and pay them six figures. But then the person that's actually out in the community making sure that residents don't go hungry, that they have water and food, that they're able to get rental assistance so we can avoid people being evicted and homeless, making sure that people have access to health care and Medicaid, making sure that people have the resources and support that they need to be able to take care of themselves, live and thrive. You don't want to pay us $50,000 a year, and we're doing just as much work. And I'm going to go there. It can be argued that we're doing more, because again, you sitting behind a computer doing coding is not going to save people from being homeless. Okay, I'm just, you know what I mean? But yet we will sit up and look down on the social worker, on the community outreach person, on the teacher, on anybody that's in human services or social services. But then we'll turn around and pay somebody with a 6-month certification $50 an hour. But then people who are sitting up here with bachelor's degrees, master's degrees, and mind you, a lot of us that do this type of work, we have to get continued education credits. So we're constantly having to get recertified, new certifications, and yet we're lucky to make $45,000, $50,000 a year. And that's a slap in the face. And it doesn't make sense how we can value certain degrees in certain fields and then downplay other degrees in other fields. It's disrespectful and it's wrong. You know, it makes no sense. And then keep in mind, not only are we doing all of this social service and human service work, but because of the type of work that we do, we're more at risk for being killed in mass shootings, being attacked, all kinds of things, because we are literally working directly with the public. You know, we're literally going into harm's way in many cases. You know, and let's just keep it real. You know, you have social workers and DHS workers and, you know, early on Head Start, you know, teachers and community outreach, etc., that are going home to home, making home visits, going to social gathering events. You're at risk for COVID. You're at risk for mass shootings. You know, you're driving your car most of the time. There is no gas mileage and reimbursements in a lot of these positions. And then if there is, if gas is $5.19 plus a gallon in my area, yet they're only offering you 50 to 60 cents per mile, what? You know what I mean? Come on. So I'm just throwing it out there. And in my case, I don't even get gas mileage or gas mileage reimbursement. So when I need to go to a community outreach event that is like 15, 20 minutes away from my house, and then I got to turn around and drive to another event that's on the other side of town, that's my gas, that's my car, that's my maintenance, that's my money that I got to put in. And I love what I do. I love helping people, right? And supporting people and actually caring about my community. And I'm going to go there. It can be argued that your social workers, your human services and social services professionals, your community outreach, your activists, your community members are doing a hell of a lot more for our communities than these elected officials ever have done. And I'm going to go there because you elect people and they're not even from the community. And then when they get elected, they don't even do anything for their own residents. They're so lost and out of touch with their own constituents, which is why they can't properly represent you and make sure that you get the resources and support that you need. I'm just going to be real. But then the people that are actually doing the work, and I'm not saying this to toot my own horn, but I've been doing this work and I keep saying 8+. Wait a minute. I've been doing this work for over 9 years, bro. Cis person, folks. I've been doing this for a long time. Okay? And it's ridiculous that you can sit up here and have years, and I mean a decade basically of experience, degrees, additional certifications, because like I said, we always have to continue learning. We always are required to have continued education, which I respect and honor, because at the end of the day, there's always things change and you do need to learn and adapt and unlearn other things that are no longer making a positive impact for you or your community. So I totally agree that, you know, education needs to be a continued thing. I will always be a lifelong learner. I don't know everything, you know what I mean? And I recognize that. I just think that it's very disheartening how, like I said, we will pay certain professions all of this money, you know, but then other professions get to be basically impoverished. And half the time we have way more education, way more work experiences, and we have way more requirements for us than the person that's making six figures. And I'm not shaming or knocking them, because everybody has a role and people deserve to make the pay that they deserve to make good pay. I'm not saying that that's not true, but it's just mind-boggling to me how we can pay somebody that's sitting behind a computer, you know, doing data analysts, $85,000, but then somebody that has way more education, way more years of experience, and is actually doing stuff in the community in person, risking their lives. Because you're not risking your life sitting behind a computer. I'm just gonna keep it real. You're behind a computer, dude. Like, you're not in the public. So you don't have to worry about COVID coming to get you. You don't have to worry about mass shootings. You don't have to worry about being attacked, because you're behind a computer at your home, dude. But yet, we'll pay you $85,000. which again, you deserve to make that money. You went to school, you got your certification, you're providing a skill, something that's needed. You deserve that, right? But guess what? So does the teacher. So does the social worker. So does the community outreach person. So, you feel me? So does the human and social services fields. Okay, and it's really ridiculous to me how they have the public service loan forgiveness program. Because basically the way it's set up is you're supposed to make payments for a decade, 10 years, that are going to equivalent to 120 payments. But like I've been saying, most of these jobs are very low paying, stagnant wages. And a lot of times, not only are they low pay and stagnant wages, but you're also overworked. A lot of times you have a title and yet you have 6 to 7 jobs under that title and you're only being paid for one, and then the pay is low and stagnant. So you're basically forced to work somewhere that's going to keep you impoverished, and then you have to stay there or a place similar to it if you want to continue to be in the public service loan forgiveness program. And so many people have submitted payments and proof of where they worked, and it was a public service, whether it was for the government, the local cities, municipalities, it was a nonprofit, you feel me, it's a public service position, and yet the public service loan forgiveness program wouldn't accept that as proof of being a public service. So you have people who've been doing this work. Like in my case, I could date when it comes back to like working for the nonprofits and what have you, I can go all the way back to 2014. So what I am going to be doing, just to prove a point, I'm signing up for the public service loan forgiveness program, and I'm going to go through all of the chain of commands because but a lot of times what you have to do, you have to go back to previous employers or go to the IRS and pull previous W-2s and returns to prove where you worked to see if it'll be eligible for you to submit that, so those payments can be seen as, okay, we can count these payments. Because I have a former colleague and friend, associate, she's got over 10, 11 years of payments, but yet out of the 120 payments that are eligible, they're still lollygagging around letting her know which eligible payments are. And as of right now, she checks her portal and she done submitted 120 plus payments, and they're still talking about that maybe only 30 to 50 will be eligible. And that's what I mean by they want to sit up here and gloat on these programs that's supposed to help people get their loans forgiven, but they're bad programs. You're still making it difficult for people to even get accepted, let alone get their student loans forgiven, even after the fact that they done worked in the public service arena for over 10 years. And that's just it. We should not be going into massive student loan debt for an education. And then you know that these fields don't pay well. So why are you sitting up here? Like I said, it's just a slap in the face. I'm just going to keep it real. We deserve better. And a lot of us are doing amazing work despite the fact that we don't have the income or the support that we deserve and need. And like I said, I keep seeing people on Twitter talking about it. You know, how are you going to list master's preferred in the job description, but yet you're paying entry-level pay? People with master's degrees should not be sitting up getting entry-level pay. People with years of experience should not be getting entry-level pay. And then even the entry-level pay should still be a living wage. You sitting up here talking about entry-level and got the person living check to check in poverty. People shouldn't need 2 and 3 jobs to barely make ends meet. People shouldn't need, a plethora of side hustles to make ends meet. Okay? We shouldn't be living like this. And again, we are literally doing more for our communities, arguably, than these elected officials any day. Because like I said, you're not going to see your congressperson actually coming into the city most of the time, or your area, hosting financial empowerment classes, giving out food and water. You're not going to see them doing that. You're not going to see them on a consistent basis, right? Not just when it's the election season, but every single month, every single year on a consistent, consecutive basis. Reaching out to community members, talking to community members, offering community members resources and support, addressing their problems, listening to them. You're not going to see that. But there's no respect for our fields. But yet we do all of this work and we get the least amount of pay. But then in the same breath, you will pay a BSN, a bachelor's, of science in nursing, to anywhere, and I've seen this, $2,000 a week, but yet a person with a master's is barely getting $2,000 a month. And y'all don't see how that is ridiculous, and there's a huge pay discrepancy here. And again, I'm not saying that the nurse, the registered nurse, the person with the BSN doesn't deserve that. Yes, they should be getting paid. They are literally performing a much needed resource. They went to school. They you know what I mean? They deserve their pay. But if they're getting $2,000 a week, I should be getting $2,000 a week as well. That's my whole point. Okay, I have a master's degree. Okay, years, basically a decade of experience. I'm constantly lowballing myself when I say 8+ experience, because you got to keep in mind, I've been working since I was 16. So obviously that's well over 8 years. Okay, that as of right now in 2022 is 13 years of work experience. Okay, and then really, because I've been doing social justice, community organizing, political organizing, civic engagement type work basically my whole life because of my grandparents. But if I could just target it, I'll go all the way back to 11th grade. And that's 2008, 2009. So yeah, we're really looking at 13 to 14 years right now. And it's ridiculous that over all these years, all of this education, I'm getting paid $14.92 an hour after taxes and deductions. That is ridiculous. And we need to speak up, organize, mobilize, and if we're really going to be honest, unionize, so we can actually start getting paid our worth. So we can have better pay, better working conditions, collective bargaining, better benefits, etc. Because this don't make no sense, and again, the CEOs of these organizations, not everybody, because I can't speak for everybody, right? But again, you typically aren't going to see the executive director doing organizing. You're typically not, and then a lot of times the out cold part is, in some of the cases, the executive director or the CEO don't even live in the city that they're working in. And they don't really have a real connection to the people. But yet, the people that are from here, that do have a connection, we're the lowest paid. So that's what I mean by it's time to address the pay discrepancies and the income inequality, because this is ridiculous. And again, and also how we do not respect fields. There is no respect for human and social services. There is no respect for the teacher. There is no respect for the social worker. There is no respect for the community outreach, etc. There is no respect for these fields. Yet these fields are often literally the backbone of the damn community. And these people that are working in these fields are literally the foot soldiers for social justice, for equity, for inclusion, for diversity, to make sure that everybody is served. Ain't that something? We really are protecting and serving our communities. I can't say that about the Blue Lives folks, because the Blue Lives folks don't even want to go into the damn school to protect your children when they're getting shot and killed. Meanwhile, it's the teacher that's sacrificing her life, his life, their life. It's the community activists. It's the organizers. It's the outreach folks that are making sure that people get water, like in my hometown of Flint, Michigan. If it wasn't for the community members, residents, activists, outreach folks, nobody would have ever known about the Flint water crisis if it wasn't for that. Because it damn sure wasn't the elected officials, because the elected officials are the ones that made the decisions for us to be poisoned in the first place. So keep that in mind when you're sitting up here underpaying people and keeping people impoverished and then disrespecting folks and not having any type of respect for these fields. I just want to throw that out there because it's annoying. I mean, but then at the same time, I like what I do. In fact, I'll even argue I love what I do because I love people. I care about people. I care about my damn community. And that's more than I can say than a lot of these so-called elected officials, a lot of these so-called people in higher up positions. I'm just being real. You want to talk about patriotic? What's patriotic is the community members that are looking out for each other. That's patriotic. You want to talk about heroes? It's the teachers that are teaching, despite the fact that they are living check to check. It's the teachers that are teaching, despite the fact that they can be gunned down at any time. It's the teachers who are sacrificing their lives to save children when you got mass shooters. Meanwhile, you got a damn whole police department full of cowards sitting outside for damn near an hour, arresting the parents trying to save their children. So keep that in mind. You a proud boy, you a oath keeper, but most of you are cowards. Keep that in mind.